Hello, folks, and welcome to the Friend or FoF Lounge. I am your friendly neighborhood shotcaster Shark, and I have some very special guests joining me today. Today we've got RLS's Demon Girl, who's been absolutely killing it on support for them. We've got RLS Escape as well, and Oriri joining us from Terracotta Gaming. We're gonna kind of be busting through this one. It's gonna be a little bit high pace because we all got some stuff coming up here. Got a couple of scrims and whatnot, but we'll go ahead and get you out as quick as we can. So let's just kind of start running through this. All right, so first game we got.
I bet Oriri and I.
Yeah, exactly. It's the thing is,
we don't classify.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just
who cares about you guys? I'm
STC versus Gorilla Muffins.
Exactly. It was SDC versus Gorilla Muffins. Obviously, SEAL Team Chris being the team that we've had step in for Aegis Gaming because that happened. It's like, honestly, I still don't really know a lot about a lot of these members. I mean, I've played with Songo, I've played with Trulax, so I'm kind of like familiar with them. They were up against GURL, and just kind of looking at these drafts, just give me your opinions on what you thought of how they were going, and yeah.
Well, I mean, we said a full week ago that this game was going to be close, and that was before we had the mid laner swap out between Songo and Soloing. And Soloing is kind of like the first assassin player who's like very like avidly a player, you know, Yasuo, Yone, Zed, that's what they do. And so I don't know if Gorilla Muffins was A, ready to scout that, or B, ready to play into it, because it's really something that like neither Luna or Helios really has somebody who wants to play that role, and it was interesting to see Soloing come in and do that, and then kind of it converted that into taking over the game like very aggressively, even into the Lissandra. But I think looking at these two drafts, you don't expect that necessarily, but it was so proficient. It made such a big difference, and I think that was a big part of that is that GURL wasn't ready to play into it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Also, I think about GURL's draft is I remember, I think it was last lounge or the lounge before, we were praising them about, you know, they were having a bit less solo QE drafts. This one, it looks a bit more solo Q.
Yeah. Just
it's that Kha'Zix pick that I
Yeah.
kind of want to point out. I think that one's the one that kind of like stood out to me as being a little bit odd.
It's something that's been popping up a lot lately. You know, like we've seen it a few times in Luna in the last few days. We saw it a couple times now in Helios, and it seems to be really popular. And I don't know where the popularity came from. Just a couple of people are like, all right, we're playing Kha'Zix now. And it's been successful on the junglers who were successful on other stuff anyway, and the junglers who have been struggling more this season have been struggling dramatically more on Kha'Zix, I think. And it seems to be kind of a thorn in the sides of teams who are trying to pick it up, who have been struggling anyway, and I think this is a good example of it. Not to say that Pure Llama is like not a strong jungler, but this team has been struggling so far, and I don't think Kha'Zix is really what you want to do. And it doesn't make sense with, you need frontline for your Vayne. Mordekaiser's there to take somebody out of this fight, so that's great. That'll deal with the Zed. That helps provide for Vayne. You have Lissandra to shut somebody down for Vayne, but then where does Kha'Zix play into this composition? And not only did it just make them struggle so much more, but it didn't really want to do anything that the rest of the comp wanted to do.
It also just kind of feels like they went for like, oh, I'm gonna pick what's best in my lane, because like Mordekaiser seems, I don't know for sure, but it seems like a good matchup into Shen, as well as the Lissandra into the Zed, and like the Vayne and Blitzcrank can match up well, but it just seems like SDC is a lot more prepared in the draft for team fights and like working together in cohesion. So
yeah. Oriri, go ahead. You say something, and then I'll say what I was thinking about the Kha'Zix pick.
Like the Kha'Zix picks, they even picked it like after everything too, which doesn't make necessarily a lot of sense. They picked it after the Shen, after the Sedge, after the Tristana, like, and I believe they might have picked it after the Lulu. I'm not entirely sure.
Sedge was last pick. Sedge was last pick.
So it was before the Sejuani, but we'd already seen the Lulu and the Zed and the Shen.
Okay, so that, like, you're already, I'm gonna have a hard time. Zed just sits on the Tristana and doesn't really need to, because there's a Shen there. So
yeah, like Shen alone is just so strong against Kha'Zix, because it's like, oh well, there goes the burst.
It's like, oh, you jumped on me. Hi, how's it going? I see you're trying to hit me and not.
Not only do I have a half K shield, I've also got auto attack immunity. I've got a taunt. Like it's not it just didn't make sense. And then I think that might be a big reason why some teams are utilizing it better. It's just understanding how to draft it, because not only does it not make sense for the composition here, but it doesn't make sense for what you're playing into either.
Right, because I was thinking, like, just even with like, if you're thinking, oh, I want to go in, I want to kill the squishies, so you're going to be focusing on Zed, and you're going to be focusing on the Tristana. Both of them have an escape, first of all, to where they can basically just avoid all of your damage. Zed can go invulnerable when he death marks you, so it's like you try to jump on him, he's just going to straight up death mark you, and then he's going to get extra damage once that fight's over. And that's it, completely ignoring the fact that Lulu exists. And Songo, I think, plays way better on Enchanter supports than he does on some of the more heavy engaged supports like Nautilus and Leona. I think his Lulu's really strong, and his Janna's really strong, so those are really where he kind of excels. So you're just picking into his comfort pick in a way that just kind of shuts yourself down with that Kha'Zix. So
his Rakan looked good on BBZ when you played it as well.
Rakan is good, but I see the thing with Rakan is because he's so squishy, he plays more like an Enchanter, in my opinion. Yeah, he jumps in, but he's also like running back and shielding his allies.
I think Rakan's not necessarily in engage. He can engage, but he's more of a follow-up engage.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
he's
Rakan
not an initiator.
One of my favorite champions. You can initiate in certain situations, but that's usually if you can get some kind of flank off. Like, but if you can follow an initial initiation on Rakan, like, just he's fantastic at that, and it's a one team fight most of it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I know. For me personally, I'm definitely of the. Ooh, that was a good flash. I'm like I'm dragging everybody into the fight, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Let's see here. I feel like with GURL during this game, a lot of what was really causing them problems was just their map awareness and their pathing and things of that nature, where basically they ended up, like, just look at this, like, they just started falling behind really, really quickly, and that was a very well executed dive.
Yeah. You're kind of playing against yourself in that kind of situation, because, like, you have to play so well when you kind of have a hole in your team composition. Like, you're completely relying on Vayne to be the damage source, and she has to be the damage source into Tristana, who's going to outrange her, Lulu, who's going to make everybody she tries to kill tankier. You have to deal with the CC of the Shen, you have to deal with the CC of Sejuani, and a Zed jumping on top of you, and that your only reliable damage source being Vayne there just sucks. And so not only does your map awareness have to be so much better, but when it isn't, you lose team fights just in draft, right? Like, it's so challenging, even if you are ahead, to stay ahead or to find a lead in the first place, because the draft can't be ignored here. Like, there's such a large hole in their composition because of that Kha'Zix, and because of how the Mordekaiser and Lissandra don't help peel that well. The Blitzcrank doesn't really do much for you. It's kind of single target lockdown. It almost feels like they want to be the engage, but Vayne has 550 range. You can't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, basically, if you look at the early part of this game, Kha'Zix goes really, really strong. He was 6-1 back at like 10 or 12 minutes, and already here at 27-28, he's only picked up one extra kill, and he's died 4 more times. So, like, it's at that point he just became so squishy, there was nothing he could really do. And I know that we're talking about it over a fight where he's doing really, really well, but that's because he's able to hit these targets, able to hit these squishies and get on them. I mean, just look at that. You have Gohan getting pulled away, but he's just able to jump over the wall. Anytime Kha'Zix jumps on him, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then you have the overextending right here of the Vayne trying to chase, which is forcing Stove to flash for no reason.
Like, he has flash and heal up there. He can absolutely turn that. And it's a safety thing that he doesn't. But that's just, like, that talks more to how far behind GURL is at the 28-minute mark. And you can't put a Vayne into Trist. It doesn't. You don't like that as Vayne, because you get outranged so hard, and range matters a lot. But not only that, but Trist's AD ratios are so big. It's like, okay, cool, let me get my 3 auto attacks off. You're gonna explode, and you don't win yourself any favors by trying to play this matchup. Like, every single place on this feels like Demon Girl was saying earlier, just like a solo queue draft from the side of GURL Muffins. They're trying to play to what they are best at, and not what their comp can do, and not even considering what STC has picked.
Exactly.
The more I look at the draft, the more I realize how much glue this Sejuani pick is, because, like, Vayne into Sejuani is, I mean, it's not great because you just get, autoed a couple times and you get stunned. And plus, ult, it just covers, like, an entire lane of space. Kha'Zix can't do anything against the Sejuani. Lissandra doesn't do that much because she's not like super high damage AP source. Like she can chip away, but it's the Sejuani is just like a huge counter to basically all that Girl was looking for.
She's got the entire top side of the map to gank reliably because of the double melee.
Yep, exactly. And see that plays right into there. This is definitely a one in draft sort of game, unfortunately.
And then just good execution.
Good execution on the side of STC and all that too. So with the next game that we had up that day, it was In the Trees versus Terracotta. So Oriri, just kind of give me an idea. In the Trees being one of the strongest teams in the Helios League, so they're kind of like that big bad you've got to make sure you're able to beat towards these playoffs that we're coming up on. What was y'all's objective going into this?
To be honest, I haven't been doing much preparation. Our coach has been more active, but we know how their play style is. They play really aggressive. So we were trying to pick something that we have scaling with the Vayne, and we're picking something relatively aggressive in the early game for the set and the Trundle. I mean, Trundle sure is not the best early game champ, but he can still play aggressive with the setup that we have on either side and with the Sylas. So
you also see that he's into Sejuani as well, which is just always
that's
a
big Sej blue side is wild to me.
So like that was the big thing, is like we knew when I think Beanjar was casting this, and he was like, just ban the Sejuani, but you can counter it relatively easily and makes him relatively champion useless.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that's kind of one of the interesting things is like you can, like, as a mind game sort of situation, you can pick the Sejuani first right there, which is gonna force you to draft a specific style of comp, and then have the rest of your team be ready to counter that. With this particular game though, I'm pretty sure it didn't end up working out for INT over there. Like y'all were just able to push in on it.
So they had a really good early game. I kind of inted. I gave first blood to Camille and Sejuani. Gave 2 kills to the Camille, and that's relatively bad. But the thought behind it was good. Like, I don't think they were able to see us there, but it doesn't look like they knew. I just went a little bit too early. I should have waited until they got closer to like when Cassette was falling back, but I went in too early because
if I look like as a spectator's perspective, and Anti agreed with me on this, I think where this play really falls apart for TG is just Shield of Valor maybe not so comfortable in the set. I don't think we've seen it too much, but what he does here, he's building up the W and flashes backwards. That was a free amount of damage. He can stay in the middle of that
He didn't have cooldowns.
So there you go. So lack of cooldowns. But yeah, like you say, so maybe it's just a bit premature on the engage, but you guys, like you say, you have a good situation there. And you put yourself in a good position, but there's just a little bit of minutia that doesn't go your way. And I think that is what causes this play to kind of fall apart, and what causes top lane to fall apart as hard as it did, because Shield of Valor just had a rough game from this point forward, getting so behind off of this.
Yeah, Broccoli's early and mid game, like at least to a point, looked fantastic. Like he looked like the form we knew him for coming into the season, and he looked. He was carrying them through the early game. He played fantastic.
Yeah, and it's about how they were able to, or not able to, convert that lead into anything big for the first 10 or so minutes of the game, and how the later game scaling composition that TG has with the Sylas, with the Mumu for great team fight use, the Trundle can shut down this Rel or the Sejuani, and obviously Vayne is Vayne. And then this is a composition that works a lot better for Vayne, because you've got people moving forward with her if she needs to move forward, people CCing for her so she can stay in those close ranges and not have to worry about getting dove on top of, and she's not getting outranged by Draven. Like there's a small range difference, but it's not huge.
3 meatballs plus a Sylas who's going to be healing with W all the time gives Vayne a lot of leeway to move around.
So I think
player game.
Yeah, I think it wasn't necessarily that they played the early game, because they played the early game well. Like they didn't give us any breathing room. But once we got, I think it was one fight where it was that top lane. Like we got 3 kills. I think 2 kills.
Yeah,
where we got it was 3. Okay, so we got 3 kills top lane. For the Sylas got 2 of them. I think someone else got one of them. But it gave him the shutdown, and that was huge. And it kind of like Sylas is able to stabilize, which is not necessarily what Sylas is.
Or was it not there? No,
No, it
okay,
wasn't
fifth kill
there.
top lane, and then
Yeah,
there's like another fight that goes on to Valor.
I think this is it right here. The one the
Yeah,
tower
right
dive.
here is. Which this is such a scuffed tower dive. Like number one, you're tower diving a set.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is
Like-
one of the most turnaroundable tower divers.
Yeah, especially in a
And it's
situation
like,
like
oh my
that, like
God,
that
yeah.
showstopper.
Like
The
how
showstopper was so well done.
that's it. It's just so hard to like
Mhm.
tower dive. Like I don't see a reason why they tower dive. They just keep like they send two people. They zone the set from out of under tower. If he stays under tower, then you dive him when your Azir is there, because they start tower diving before Azir gets there. Like
Mhm.
he's doing this
Oh
really
yeah,
early.
yeah.
And I think that
Like-
that's just an overconfidence thing. You're looking at the
Mhm.
scoreboard, you're 5-0. Okay, we can just get this tower dance done,
Yep.
dealt with. And then
Jet
you see
has
Antunes, and
Phage
that's a
and
bit of a
boots.
surprise. Yeah.
But then,
It seems so free.
Antunes
But
has the
then,
read on the map. So
Yeah.
there's-
So
Tian got pushed in mid and then came up, and he gets the cleanup. Like it just works out
it
so
just
well.
puts Azir so far
like
back as well.
that steal right there of the Rel ult was so well done. Like that was just really good like decision making right there to know like this is the ult I need and I want, and he just grabs it, which allows him to keep getting that kill.
I don't think it would have
I think
mattered.
Sedge would have been better.
Sedge would have been better, but he'd already killed Sedge by that point. So
Yeah, but that's no. If he
Like,
grabbed it initially, that would have been better. But
If he grabbed, I don't know if he could have grabbed the zero. I can't tell.
I'm
But if he
guessing
grabs
not.
the Azir, if he was able to grab the zero, E the Rel, and then R Azir R, like that would have been better. But I
Yeah.
don't know,
Well,
like.
yeah, his E was on cooldown at that point because he'd already absconded onto the Sejuani. It wasn't up yet. It would have had another couple of seconds.
Yeah.
So the Azir would have been good if he could have gotten in there, but he would have had to like try and flash E backwards onto Rel, and that's I think a little bit more of a risky flash. Like the one in front of the Azir is like a guaranteed. I'm gonna at least grab him. Might grab Rel.
Yeah, but at that point, like,
we're
this is, like, getting-
micromanaging it at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Like, if
that
you're
much.
gonna
Moral of
if
the story: Silas has a playground of ultimates. in this
exactly.
game.
He really
Yeah,
does.
and looking at the fight as a whole, getting this extra, like really what this is just the micromanagement of do we kill the Rel or not. And at the end of the day, Rel's not bot lane. This is a 300 gold difference. I'm pretty sure Tian gets to pick up the wave anyway. It's such a minute change, and really what matters more is that you get the Sejuani there to let Oriri just take the jungle there completely for free, and you're giving Silas not only you're giving Silas these kills, but also Azir cannot go back mid to pick up that wave that Tian had dumped in. There's no way you can pressure Tian off that wave, and those are the two kills that matter there the most because it actually turns into something. And Rel being on the wrong side of the map is, as far as pressure goes, is just as good as her being killed.
Yeah, because Vayne was just able to free farm that entire
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
and then-
remember
and
if
then-
y'all took this Baron for free.
Yeah, and then I think just going into later fights that they had here, there was another larger play in the mid game bot lane, but like right here it was just kind of the composition doing its work because Tian still hasn't shown up to this fight and there's already a kill, and then now there's the reaction from INT, but the fight's already over. Broccoli's going to go down. Broccoli's a majority of your gold at this point. Kenny can't
Jeff
do
can't
anything on
get
the
into
stream.
the
and-
fight. Like there was definitely an opportunity if Jeff wasn't out getting like vision and stuff. Like unfortunately, Bow Explode got caught, and that's not really Jeff's fault. But if he was there, it probably could have been turned just because that was 4 people in a line and you're a Rel.
And
Yeah,
another thing is like, just I get like you were ahead in gold, but like just build the appropriate item.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
I think
that
that
was
was
wild.
That's a friend or foe problem. That's not just like the teams in that's
Yeah.
just our entire league. I've noticed everyone just
what is
goes
it?
for recommended build. They just go and like they don't really like
Well, that's
to.
there's not even a recommended build. Like
No, that's
Yeah,
I
that's
play
just the
Rel. I play
Um,
Rel. It's my champ.
That's like I think what this is more down to, what is actually a team error, is INT's team fighting. I realize what I'm saying this into, but INT's team fighting hasn't really gelled yet, and I don't know if that's down to Jeff. But going all the way back, because this is what I looked at, our game versus them was decided by a single team fight around Dragon, and that was not down to RLS playing the team fight better. It was INT playing it worse. They whiffed a lot of their crucial ultimates. They were not on time of their abilities. They were not going in together, and that's what lost them the fight. And again here, they have somebody going in, the Broccoli on the back lane going for an engage. Jeff is not there yet to go in with the Rel. Evolve Noob decides not to go in and go for a Shuriman Shuffle to try and peel off his jungler. There's no coordination in these like really tense moments for them. And that I know what we're coming up on, and so I know I'm gonna have to eat my words really soon, but they have not looked like they've gelled up into this Thursday with their team fighting, and I think that that's been something that they need to fix. And I think that TG struggles with that a lot less. Your guys' team fighting has looked a lot better, just following up on the fight that you guys have.
I think
you're more consistent about it.
Yeah, I think TG is one of the better team fight teams in the league. I think TG is probably the best, to be honest, for team fighting strictly. And then I think it's probably Rex and then RLS for team fighting. No offense to you guys.
No, by no means.
I'm just debating whether or not Rex would be higher on that list.
I agree with you, but Rex doesn't. Rex thinks we're better than them. So, just purely into team fighting, and that was something that came up during this game. And just to quickly transition onto our draft here, this was actually really good draft scouting initially from Rex. They called out that we wanted, obviously, the Ziggs Volibear is so prominent now that if you don't know it, it's because you haven't opened your eyes yet. So they go for the Ziggs ban. That's a really obvious option. They get the 2 bans off of Anti in the top lane. They take the Volibear away, and then from there the draft was really, having spoken to them, they were really confused by the draft. We take Senna Thresh on the first round. And what Rex is looking to do here is completely put this game into Zen Zen's hands and just say, Zen Zen is going to be able to provide all the damage that we need on this Akshan. We can take resets during these fights. We can lose a fight, kind of like you can go like 4 for 3 in a fight with Akshan and then still get the objective because your whole team's respawned. And so that's really good for them. Meanwhile, on the RLS side, we've put a lot of eggs into the anti-basket, as it were. Eggs into the anti-basket.
Eggs into the anti-basket. We're gonna have Lolo doing this at some point, I guess.
No,
Sorry, Lolo.
And then I got kicked off. But and it was about this game was really kind of derived towards which team can play into their priorities correctly. So we have it just everything set up. We have something to shut down Akshan on our side and try and provide for the Fiora. We've got the Zac to go in with Fio. We've got Senna to back her up. Meanwhile, on the other side, on Rex's side, they've got meatballs for Akshan to pick and choose which side of the fight he wants to engage on. He doesn't need to take engages. He can be the 5th one into the fight. Doesn't matter for him. He can go in whenever he wants and then just get those picks as he sees fit. And that's where this game should come down to. But what the game ended up coming down to was superior bot priority, an immediate Ocean Soul coming up, and just a slow roll backwards from that point. I think there was a couple of close moments in some of the later fights, but I think this was, again, comp execution completely down to the side of Rex. They knew what they needed to prioritize. They knew how they needed to fight this game.
They played exact, because like when after draft happened, I was like, you know what, I really like our team comp into them. Like I don't know how they can really execute it, but they executed the comp as well as they could, pretty much.
And it was, to me, like, just to finish my final thought on that, it was less down to correct compositional play and playing towards what made sense for them, like playing around Zen Zen, like I was saying, or anything like that, or playing around Fiora. It wasn't any of that. What it really came down to was just overall macro play, and Rex absolutely just scolded us on that. It was not it was not close, because like looking at the game, we'll see it, but
I mean, that's something I think Rex completely excels at. Like, I think their macro is just it's ridiculous, and everyone should be taking notes and kind of looking at, this is how you win the game, because they're winning it from behind, or they're maintaining their gold, like even as they lose 10 kills essentially.
I think, like, I honestly love Rex's comp. I despise RLS's comp. No, like, I don't like, if you're gonna pick Senna play, Senna support. You lose so much value from picking Senna AD carry. Sure, you can, but like, you're losing so much gold from picking the Senna AD carry, because the gold from the souls is so massive comparatively to Senna support. And then you also pick Thresh with that. Senna really wants a tank, not a catcher, or an engage / peeler, not a catch champion. Thresh is he's a catch champion. He wants to get picks. Senna wants the team fight. Malzahar wants to make picks. Zach wants a team fight, and so you're kind of having like your comp is having an identity crisis.
Without going into like a really lengthy detail, just to speak on the things that really stand out there for me personally. Not to say that I disagree with everything that you said. The reason why we have champions that want to play picks like the way that you say is because this Rex composition is so centered around one individual. And if you have somebody who can play protection as well as Thresh can, like you're right, Thresh doesn't necessarily want to team fight, Thresh wants to find picks. Thresh can keep people off, and if you're trying to keep people off of Malzahar and off of Senna, and the only thing that you have to do to pull off the team fight correctly is ult onto the Akshan, then the composition makes a little bit more sense. And I agree with you that it doesn't make sense until you get to that point. I think that's where we got caught a lot, was we focused too much on that kind of 30-minute mark, and we lost the game before 25. And so, like, yeah, it's like everything you said is completely true. I'm just trying to say, like, that was the angle we're looking at it.
Yeah.
And I do want to point something out here real quickly. I think, like, picking on that whole like specific person that you have to watch out for. If we watch this replay of the Akshan, he walks from mid lane all the way to bot lane without a single ping coming out from RLS. So like,
we knew.
If you're not,
we did know. Yeah.
You did know. So you were actually like saying
there was no question here. The reason why there's an immediate retreat here instead of trying to save like war leader, like the Q goes out to try and save him, but that's it. The reason why we're making out for the hills here is we know he's been down here. We know he's about to be here because we knew the second he left.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure.
No,
I wasn't
there
sure.
wasn't any wards.
There was a ward, but he went stealth over it. Does he reveal on a ward if you're in his range, or is it because he's in a bush you technically can't see him still?
No, the only ward that really counts there, like as far as you're concerned, is whether or not there's a pink.
Okay, well, because if you like as you crosses through this tri-brush right here is what I'm getting at. It's specifically from an Akshan ability. So yeah, you don't see him until he comes out of the bush.
Yeah, we see him here, but it doesn't matter at that point. He's got so much mobility.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
no, I think the only other crucial point of this game to really look at was we had two opportunities in the mid-late post-Ocean Soul where like we could have brought the game back because we had some positive team fights. Because up until this point, like right here is the first one. So just to go back real quick.
I'm just gonna let the replay.
And this is yeah, we could just watch it through the replay, it's fine. Because I think this initially starts with the rotate just going to bot lane. And then they find anti, and then this is again us troubling because our main damage source in the Fiora is not where we need her to be. And then what ends up happening here is that we have a broken up fight, but they aren't focusing anybody. They're getting a bunch of health bars low. Senna gets to sit over the wall here and deal a lot of damage, and now Rex completely breaks up, and this is why they said, or I should say, Joshi said that we were fighting specifically better than them today. Or this day specifically. And where this breaks down is that I personally get too greedy, and the flash forward right here completely throws this opportunity for the game to turn back. And then the second place where the game breaks down, like obviously this is a good gold swing in return for us. They do end up picking up the follow-up dragon, I think. Yeah. And then there's another team fight, this one. If you can go back.
Is it this one? Before the Elder Drake?
Was it two?
Yeah.
This one right here in the mid lane? So they're like back-to-back fights?
Yeah, okay, so then this one. So this one, I'm gonna just, again, talk it from my perspective. So again, this is a fight that starts positive for RLS, even though we're down such an insane amount of gold. Joshi finds the engage onto Thresh. This isn't a super big deal, and we are here first as a team. We find the engage onto Seraphine. Seraphine goes down almost instantly. And where it breaks down is right here, if you want to pause. We have Thresh over on one side. We have Malzahar trying to make his way over the wall. Meanwhile, the other three of us are on an engage. And this is not poor play from anybody. This is miscommunication.
Yeah, in comms, at first we were like, okay, we got two, we can back off, we can, set up for the Elder. And then we're like,
and the reason I want to point this out is not, I don't want to point this out to like cover our ass or anything like that. This is something we see a lot in FoF is just miscommunications after a big play like this, especially from behind. And the key to being behind right here is make sure that the whole team is doing the one wrong thing rather than one person doing the one right thing. And this seems like a situation where, okay, we can maybe grab another pick. And what ends up happening here is if you play the clip forward, because we don't have the engage together, the Malzahar isn't here when Zenzen shows up. Zenzen gets to completely run amok on this team fight, and it isn't until quite late into this fight that we notice as a team that the Malzahar isn't here yet, and the fight's lost and the game's lost. So that was a second opportunity for us to get back into the game where it's just misplay, and I think that's something that a lot of teams get caught in, especially when they're behind, is just having a few people go either quiet or miscommunicate or getting too greedy. And there's two situations where this game could have been turned back, but just to make an example out of it, we did not.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, that would have been a good opportunity for another grasp to come out, but at the same time, by that point, there's just too many health bars right there that it wouldn't matter.
Fight was...
Yeah,
Instead
and then
of
the game just ends from that point forward.
5v4, 5v3, we have like a 3v4 in that situation.
Yeah.
Plus reses and
so it's rough. Again, I think I'm just gonna keep saying it over and over. I think Rex has like the best macro play overall, and so they did really good job playing
Rex,
the geography.
It's so hard to play against.
Oh, and I had 100% KP this game just to pat myself on the back.
All right, and then let's see. This one is the Terracotta versus PTP game. Girl got to buy this one. They had a forfeit at the very beginning. So let's just kind of do the same thing we did last time. And let's see here. So
Oriri, take off. Go ahead.
Yep, go right ahead, Oriri. This is all on you.
To be honest, this is our prove it Shielded Valor game. Shielded Valor's been playing only tanks for the past three games because he kind of joined relatively late. Well, and that game he played, that's a tank set. He was 1-9. And Riven's one of his best champions. Like, it's his main. Like, he had his highest mastery is Riven. So, and the fact that he got to play was really good. Honestly, this game is kind of like, to me, doesn't matter too much on our end because this is we're kind of having fun game. We had Riven building Medjais, TN building Medjais.
I was gonna say there's no AP scaling on Riven at all, so Medjais doesn't even do anything. Except give you like
move speed. It gives move speed.
Yeah. The biggest thing is
it also gives you huge ego points. Don't forget about that.
Yeah. That's the thing.
You're smacking them with a book instead of a wallet.
This is kind of like an ego game for us. Like, and the fact that they had 2 subs, like, it's rough. Like, and we personally, I'm not too frowned upon it. Like, I'm relatively, I don't shit talk that much. My apologies for cursing.
No, it's fine.
Hey, it's like when it comes to the whole trash talk thing, like there's a difference between trash talking and then just calling out mistakes. Like Antunes right here in this river. Like, what is he doing?
And this was the realm I was talking about.
I don't know what he was doing there. He was in their jungle for a solid 1.5 minutes. Yeah, he was in their jungle for a solid like 1.5 minutes.
He's exploring.
I remember watching this because I'm pretty sure everyone was in call watching this together, and we're just like, what the hell is Antunes doing?
So the sad mummy starts his little journey up the river. He's just like waddling along.
He was looking to get the Malzahar. That's his goal.
Attaboy.
Maybe that is exactly what it is. He's looking for a bandage toss.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, he knew he was gonna get there in time, so he decided like, hey, I'm just gonna wander around the jungle.
And then we saw him at Wolves. We were just like, there's no way he gets out, right? He hasn't been seen. Like,
he could have got out.
Way, right?
If he hadn't gone for, maybe he had started for
a little bit of an overcommitment.
But I don't. PTP shouldn't take much from this game. They could obviously they can look at like their macro errors and stuff like that, but like there's not much you can take from this game as a play wise because they have 2 players that aren't their starters playing.
See, and this combo right here, the Riven Volibear, that's just gross. You've got like 3 stuns and like displacements that are gonna just completely disrupt anything that you try to do.
Yeah. But
it's so frustrating.
The one thing to look forward for Shielded Valor did prove himself, so expect to see more carry champion from him possibly. Oh, by the way, this is totally like int on me. I did not expect the Trundle to be there. I was like, he's probably coming down here, but I wasn't expecting it to be so soon.
Right. You got lucky. It was a good walk back to get the smite in order to get that health.
Yeah. Well, I could have probably might have killed him if I would have actually just turned and fought. But I didn't. I kind of was backing off. I was also like, I was relatively nervous. I was like, ah!
Yeah.
He shows up out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting. It was kind of like a scary moment. I was like,
So Riven is a little slow on the react to come assist. So if they were a little bit faster, if shielded, like instead of like working on the minions,
he had to. That was like, this is 100% my fault. I shouldn't even made this call.
Right. Oh, yeah, but I mean, it's like it's a situation like when you're in the like getting to a bad call is one thing. Sticking with the bad call is the other thing that you got to do sometimes.
Oh yeah, but he didn't even know I was doing it. Was the main
see, and that's what I mean. Like that's a communication error. So.
But I mean, at the end of the day, all of your sins were immediately alleviated by Jesus in the mid lane. And I'm not talking about Brown. I'm completely talking about Tien. Tien was unbelievable this game.
I have been wanting to point out how good his Syndra looked in this game.
Yeah, it was
so
unbelievable.
How did you get? What, 3 or 4 solo kills this game? Like it was.
I just want to say something. Tien wouldn't be nothing without me and Amumu. I'm just saying, we gave him 2 free kills here, back to back. Just saying, and that caused him to get ahead.
You're right, but like I don't want to take away from Tien was up in that lane.
Oh yeah,
individually, right?
Yeah.
And that is a lane that really Malzahar should be more than neutralizing. Malzahar should just be repeatedly shoving him in, not running into any problems. Just play the neutral. Heck, like Malzahar should be the one who's allowed to roam in that lane because the wave clear is just so much more superior. You have the passive to deal with the stuns.
So. Sure,
and then Tien is still winning that like on an individual level, and then obviously team play is huge to be able to pick up those kills. It makes a big difference, and obviously I don't think Tien turns into the monster that he does without those 2 kills, but monstrous the play anyway. Like it was so good.
So
he was up by like 10 CS at like 3 minutes or so. It's just like,
I mean, he's probably the best CS scene
his
player
in that sense is almost insane. Like the ability that he has to maintain his CS and still deal with all of these people trying to like push him out of lane, take him out, and is crazy.
I remember.
He should have
yeah, Anti was very pissed at that play.
He was.
He goes for Q.
It was a good flash.
Oh, great flash.
Carrots. Actually, speaking of which, they had 3 subs, not even just 2, 3. So, like,
they just had like Grevio was subbed bot and normally plays mid, right?
Yeah.
And then Cyborg's normal, and then Carrots.
Yeah. So literally, only 1 player is playing their main role.
So an interesting tech on Syndra that I've learned recently that I'm not sure if everybody knows, because I've talked with some people who like playing Syndra that didn't know this. If you or is it?
It's E and then Q.
E then Q. Yeah, if you E then Q, before the ball has even appeared, it's gonna launch the ball as soon as it shows up.
Yep. As long as you don't right click.
Yes, as long as you don't right click.
Yeah, and it's something that you can use to completely catch people out. I think I saw Tien trying for it. I didn't see it. I didn't notice it get any picks, but
that's one right
at the
there.
point where he was just game over.
This is he does it right here.
It is faster.
Yeah, see. So he drops the...
no, that was QE. That was QE.
Another thing is, like, we definitely... I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I've had a moment like that.
Like, I'm just sitting here like...
Okay, so, like, let's just, back it up a smidge.
Vision.
Did I freeze? No, just the game.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I mean, the browser froze. I was asking if I froze on Discord. Yeah, so good kill attempt on the Graviel.
I should have just turned on Carrots, but I honestly thought that you would have been able to 1v1 him, 80 carry, but I should have realized. But, like, I don't know. Like, and then we end up going back in, like, he goes back in. I don't, and then I'm like... And then I'm like, oh,
he just
chomps your face right off.
Cleans up, am I right?
Yeah, he cleans up this.
He
ends up cleaning it up. It's kind of nuts.
I don't think he. I think he definitely pokes people out and stuff like that. But I don't think he
I
actually
thought
gets
there
anything.
was one play he had in the bot lane that I thought was pretty.
Oh yeah, no, it's a bit later. It's
Okay.
past the 20-minute mark.
But yeah, this game was just kind of like.
It's also another Iron Tower Caitlyn game, and those generally go pretty well. So
Okay, so I have to admit, I honestly didn't think Caitlyn's range was that long. I thought it was just short of Baron.
No, you can do it. You can do it actually across more of the wall than most champions.
Okay, like I
it's
love
not
that.
even beneficial here.
No, it's not.
It's not.
This is a.
I've
ego
heard that's
play.
an Iron Tower thing. Yeah.
It's an ego play. Like Iron Tower, I don't think Iron Tower egos
Is
ever,
this
but
it?
that was 100% an ego thing.
Yeah, I think there's a Sindra that walks down here and just causes a massacre.
Yeah, like there's that right there, and then we got.
Where was the double Q? It
Why-
gets the collateral
Whoa,
kill at
just
some point with the
disappeared.
Q under turret. I don't know. The game is
Oh my
12
God.
and 0
There's
on
so many
Sien at
highlights in this
point.
one. Yeah.
This was Shielded Valor getting to play the Riven, and this was
Mm-hmm.
Tien getting to deny PTP the game.
Mhm.
And it was just like there's not too much to talk about in the draft. This was just PG being
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like no offense to BTP, but they were at a 100% disadvantage without their starters. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
for
do
sure.
want to say I do like their recolor. I think their recolor is pretty
oh
sweet.
yeah,
Oh,
Color-
yeah,
that was a
advantage.
huge improvement.
it's way scarier now.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. So yes,
Now we just gotta wait for them to actually pick Teemo and. get
Ah,
it.
yes, the seal clubbing.
yes, that the thing where we're like, dude.
Yeah. So you remember how I don't remember how many minutes ago I said that if you don't ban volley zing, then you
Yeah.
haven't. So I don't know if again STC they're here, they're here. But you left it open. We got to pick everything that we wanted to try and pick. We got to have Pengu still playing the LeBlanc, which was nice.
We took soloing off the 380 mids he's comfortable
yeah,
on. Like we
soloing's
hard
bad.
targeted first round. I remember we
Yeah.
got into like a custom game to make it, and then he's just like, really?
Yeah. So does
Yes.
is I am soloing? Is he a good is he like an AD mid laner? Like he's
So
just like
I am
Yone
soloing
Yas?
based on his op.gg is capable of playing 4 champions. They're all visible here in that order.
in that order. so you're just like
And I
no
could be-
game for you.
I could be wrong, but it seems like he can play Yasuo, Yone, Zed, and Ahri, and Ahri is the least comfortable. Ahri is the easiest to counter, and Ahri it got picked
We're
as
just-
a result. We
yeah.
said okay, not only are we going to make sure that you can't put soloing on somebody that he's comfortable carrying, but we're also going to make sure that we're going to put you on the champion that is easiest to deal with, and we're going to make you first round Ahri. Right, so like having
'cause,
that
like,
small of a champion pool hurts so bad as a result, and also having champions that are just non-influential as far as the team goes, and then as a result they have to devote their carry job to Gohan, and you're putting your carry farm into Nautilus Ziggs, which you can't do.
Yeah.
So
For a second, I was scared of the Lulu Cog, and then
yeah, and then they
it was
didn't.
Jinx,
Yeah, and then it
and
was
so I was a bit less worried.
If they pick Cog here, it's probably 3 times harder for you guys.
Yeah.
No, I
Because
think-
Cog has an eventuality. I am going to eventually deal more damage than your entire team will. Jinx, though very strong in the later stages of the game, she's one of the strongest hyperscaling ADCs, in my opinion. She's not Kog'Maw. And that's all I have to say here. She's not Kog'Maw. She can't break tanks the same way. She can't like bombard you. She doesn't like. She has satisfactory wave clear if you can get the runes online. She can't trade as well in lane, especially because of the Lulu's. Lulu Cog trades amazingly well in lane because of that range difference. And they just didn't get to do anything with it. Pengu still got to run amok this game, just walking all over the place. Top lane was an anti-playing top lane. The only thing that is absolutely enormous for RLS as a team here, well, I guess there's 2 things. One is that we got to really have Pengu like stretch his legs a little bit and play some other champions that he's been on kind of a rotation of 3 up until this point. He has more champs than that. He just hasn't really been in a situation where he can play those. And we were 1 second behind Rex on fastest game for this season. 1 second.
You were close. You were close.
I was wondering why I got.
I'm trying to remember who Rex got it against.
4
Was it STC or was it GURL?
Yeah, they killed the Nexus at roughly 20 minutes, 40 seconds, and we got it at exactly 20 minutes 41 seconds.
Right, and it was against STC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
But a different STC, a very different STC, because they have Songo playing in the support role where he's more comfortable.
Right, and I was gonna say, just straight off the bat, I think anyone who plays LeBlanc is a bully.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Dark's a bully.
Yeah,
Yep.
And I hate
Jovi
it so much.
has 1.8 million mastery points on that champ.
That is
I
gross.
love...
Jovi, if you're watching, you're a bully.
And if you guys just ban it, you guys might win that game. Just saying.
And we said like going into that game, we said Derek was like, I don't want to. Like Penguso was like, I do not want to play against the LeBlanc. I don't feel that comfortable in the counter pick. And we were just like, okay, let's ignore that.
And
Let's get the
Malzahar,
LeBlanc.
like, I don't know if you guys know, but I think his name's Bobby Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
He even says like Malzahar's not even that bad. Like LeBlanc isn't even that bad into Malzahar. Sure, he just says like,
oh yeah,
just don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Like he.
Yeah, but this is like 5-week-old news.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there that that's how I feel about LeBlanc.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's too much to look at from this game, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
there was a dragon tank.
This game.
There's a dragon tank that went really poorly for STC. They got caught in the pit, and that was
the thing I was looking up here before with that first blood on Shen. I was trying to figure out where his spirit veil was, because he honestly shouldn't have gotten stunned. That's I think a misplay by Trulax during this.
Was he level 2 or level 3?
He's level 3. He's level 3 right now, so he should have it. He should have already pulled his spirit sword up to himself.
Yeah, especially because it's basically like there's no reason not to as a Shen.
Like
right?
you can see it flash because it was about to move, so he did it a little bit late.
I don't see why you wouldn't just pull it to get the farm. Like
I mean, you're right, and at the same time, Anti just doesn't take that trade if that's there. Right?
Exactly. So
yeah, it's just a safety thing as a Shen. I don't know that there's too much else.
Just for all you Shen players out there, you got to keep your sword close because that's where like everything happens is around that thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of his familiar. It's kind of his valor.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
His
yeah, see, I mean, you guys at 17 minutes, it's 5 and 16, so it's a pretty harsh game for STC.
Final fight of this game is worth looking at, just for the sake of how well. If you go back here. No, if you go back. Is it that far? It's
where you went.
We'll be around here. Yeah.
No. You had it.
Oh, that was it?
No, you're going too far now.
Well, I was waiting for it to speed back up. I know. Hold on. It's being less slow.
That's fair. So fight after this.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the only one that's really.
So that's where I was the first time.
I know you were at that one the previous time, and then I think it's either Discord delay or something. Got us confused. Anyway,
yeah, I think it's Discord delay.
I think the only thing that's huge here is that this was just us getting a little bit too aggressive as a team, and good punishment from STC. It's good to see this quick improvement that they've had, and I think that there's a big part of that goes on to soloing being in the mid lane. But I just wanted to give props here, Demon Girl. She's here. I would do this anyway. Look at this defense of a bootsless Ziggs. The fact that not only do we pull kills here, but I, after getting hit by an Ori charm, managed to make it out of here alive by I did nothing here. I didn't even hit myself with W. Just very good peel, very good disengage. I want to give you props for that.
Yeah, it's like
I remember some of the
like
first
this.
times we were playing together. Like, you were just like, we play so different. I'm so used to having my support just like stick to my ass, and now I'm like, okay, I guess I just gotta stick to your ass.
I guess I just stand here, and there it is.
There's no point in free thinking.
Yeah, and
you
then
are the support, obey. Normal anti.
Anti-ulting Songo for the disrespect.
Yep, the squish.
Squish. Yeah, and then that just converted into the end of the game. And I think that what this is for RLS is, we can still play this composition. That's not really surprising. I think what it is for STC is that, or people playing STC in future, is that soloing
soloing's pool is a big problem for them. He was able to create so much pressure in their game versus GURL to the point where he carried the win. And in this game, he almost felt absent, not having access to those picks. And when you only got 4 options like that, and really it looks like he's only got those 3, it can leave such a void in a competitive area where people are going to just chuck 3 bans at you and say, okay, well now we have a 4v5.
And I honestly, I love that Trundle's breaking his teeth on the Nexus at this point.
The one thing I do have to say about, I just had something to say about Escape's last comment about the 3 ban plus 1. So last season, Team Spear, Sherrigan knows Team Spear. We had the same thing with our mid laner. But instead of being AD champion, was AP champions. It was Malzahar, Vel'Koz, and Anivia, and we had same situation where like they would ban 3 and they would his 4 champion was Syndra. It's not necessarily his, like, sure, he's on a less than optimal champion on his perspective, right?
Yeah.
But it's also partially his team's fault. This is going to be super critical, right? But if you cannot carry a player when they are drawing 3
bands away from...
like 3 bands away on the first rotation, and you can't help him get to the point, your team is...
there's another breakdown there, exactly.
I think we drafted for stronger mid jungle because Trundle wins into Sejuani and LeBlanc is just strong mid jungle duo.
If I can just say, speaking of team failing to play around person, Rexter Gallus INT.
Yep.
This was Rafa turning it up in the early game, and then I don't know if it was overconfidence, lack of preparedness. This didn't look like Rex, but more importantly, it didn't look like INT. This was a different team.
Yeah, I feel like we need to we'll have to come back to this one at some point, just because we're coming up on a clock, so we can spend as much time on this as possible.
We're good. We can go over this. We got time.
Yeah.
So the one thing I do have to say about this is I think this is no offense to their starting top laner Brock. I think it's Brock. Is it Brock or is
Brock Lee? It's Fish McGish was the one filling in, which Joshi said they've got Fish coming into play or top lane, and he felt like it was a target.
Number one, I think Fish is way better. Personally, this is my personal opinion.
He's very strong.
Brock Lee's in mid. Okay.
Yeah, so Brock Lee moved to mid, Fish moved to top because Noob couldn't make it, I believe.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that Fish McGish is a way better top laner than Brock Lee. Not saying Brock, I think it's mostly maybe just a play style wise, he just fits better to their play style, maybe. I don't know the exact reason, but mechanically, I think he is leaps and bounds above Brock Lee.
Like this right here, like this particular First Blood, the reason I'm playing it over and over is I really feel like it's a good example of Zenzen's skill as Brock Lee gets a little bit overconfident, because Brock Lee does a good job going in on this, but he dives a little bit too hard going under tower. But Zenzen at the same time, he's able to get like those 3 auto attacks off that just completely shred through Brock Lee at this point.
I don't necessarily think it was Zenzen. I think it was the turret hitting him.
But that's what I mean. Like it was the fact that
that's
Zenzen, but
turret range gets more outrageous daily.
Dude, it gets outrageous daily. It doesn't target you when it should, and in the late game, it does nothing.
Yeah,
I want them to bring laser turrets back. I want laser turrets back.
I don't agree. I think what this play is heavily down to is obviously Brock Lee takes the tower shot. That's a big one. It's where the outplay really is here from Zenzen is that he can hold him here at the range. Brock Lee gets aggressive for the play, maybe doesn't realize, and Zenzen has to know that he's staying there in turret range. He has to know that, and then additionally, he doesn't burn flash here. There's no good reason other than I know I'm going to win this to not burn flash right here. There's no reason not to flash that tornado.
Yep.
And what that does is it gives him a lead in the lane, both summoners, because Brock Lee's down 2, and he gets the kill pickup. And that there's no reason that a player like Zenzen would sit there and take those hits if he doesn't know, like, especially when you can flash out of that nado. That's completely reactable. You know exactly when it's coming out. And he doesn't. And that is where the outplay to me really is knowing exactly where the edge of his tower range is and knowing exactly how much damage Brock Lee's going to take here.
Which is what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. And then this game devolves into, for the early mid game, just Rafa running amok, both in the top lane, bot lane, mid, or wherever he goes. I think he picked up 7 kills. And then we saw another one of those times where it's just an unsuccessful Kha'Zix. And I think I made my comment on broadcast on Monday about my thoughts on Xayah. But I don't understand why they would pick Xayah here.
It doesn't even fit their comp.
It doesn't
I would
fit
say
the comp.
Yeah.
only reason
It
I
doesn't
could
win
think
the lane.
would be
Yeah.
utility. Like that would be the only thing is the root. If you can
Even
get the
like
root
his,
off.
if you're gonna pick something utility, pick a different 80.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that,
'cause, like,
but
if you
Alk
want a
Battery
root,
can
I
play
think-
Ashe. Alk Battery can play. I think Aphelios might have been banned, but can play Aphelios. There's other champions that do the utility job so much better than Xayah does.
Yeah,
And on
like I
top of
feel
that,
like Jhin
Xayah
could have
doesn't-
been.
Yeah, Jhin would have been great, but Xayah doesn't. Not only Xayah needs to be your primary damage dealer in order for her to feel comfortable. She needs to be getting your priority of gold. That's how she has to play. But she doesn't do any damage right now.
She doesn't do damage until she's 6 items because
Yeah,
that's
6 items. Six items. She's amazing. Don't count me out on that. 6 items. Xayah is absolutely astonishing. But
it
up
takes 6
until
items.
up until then, she is underwhelming as hell. And look at what you're playing into, right? This feels like another time, like again with this. And I think Rex or Joshi made a comment like saying that their other loss to RLS was down to draft gapping themselves, picking a composition that doesn't work for them. And I think that happened again here.
Yeah. So
And I think that could be one of Rex's big weaknesses is when they put themselves onto compositions that are I don't want to call this one ego intensive or anything like that, where they think they're going to win, but a composition that just doesn't come together the way they wanted it to. And I'll take part of the blame for that, for talking a lot during the previous lounge, because obviously this game was played on a Wednesday, but it didn't look right. And like I said, neither of these teams looked like themselves, and in a good way for INT.
And like another thing, like a lot of the teams, I think RLS, TG have an identity. Rex sometimes goes off their identity for no reason, whereas I think RLS, and the only time you guys go off identity is when you guys play against us for some reason.
Yep.
Wonder why.
it's not like the bans are actually effective.
But yeah, so like I think it's just better to stick with your identity. So like TG, for example, we play late game team fight comps. Not necessarily front to back, but we play the team fight dive or just front to back comps. We don't play pick. We don't play poke. We don't play any of that stuff. We stick to what we're good at. I think RLS is good at that too. And I think Rex is noticeably doing worse at it.
To transition that to what Rex wants to do, Rex is a team who, and they say it themselves, and we all recognize it, they are phenomenal at their macro. And what they need to do that, and to do that the best, is to make sure that they have priority in a half of the map. So you need your mid laner, you need Zen to have priority, and you need either Joshi or Alk to have priority. And completely looking away from the fact that Alk had priority in the spot lane into an MF, which I don't think should really be happening. Zen didn't have prio. Alk shouldn't have prio in this lane, I don't think. I think that Soraka MF should really zone you off. The MF should feel comfortable
I think
walking
that's
up
a
dealing
testament
damage.
to why you know Doctor and their Thresh play.
I agree with you. I totally agree. But Joshi also didn't have priority. So with their strategy, it wants to, and the way that they've been playing the best is through that mid-game priority and making sure that they can make their macro calls and find gold on the map just passively and by playing kind of a more competitively accurate game. And they couldn't do that today. And it's not to say that they can't, but if you're experimenting with a different type of playstyle that wants you to scale into the later stages of the game with this Azir and this Xayah, why are you doing it on stage, and why are you doing it versus INT?
Yeah.
Because INT is another team that they play aggressive. They do it every
and
game.
they're very good at it.
And they're very good at it.
So
Another thing I
this
wanted to
Dragon
point out
Sneak
about
is
the
pretty
prio.
impressive too.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to say that Dragon Sneak during all that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, the prio argument is that, I mean, Rafa's going off in this game. He's going crazy. If they have the prio, he's just able to perma invade, and like instead of having a fairly even farm in the jungle, you could probably, have like 1.5 times the farm, or just like if you have a jungler and any of your teammates roaming into the jungle with you, when you're that fed, the game's over.
Actually, with
The
Kha'Zix.
enemy jungler is the most tilted person on the planet.
Yeah, you put a Kha'Zix into the jungle and he's holding Shen or Thresh's hand. I mean, I wouldn't want to hold Thresh's hand, but I think Rafa might. Like that would put you into such a free and Kha'Zix kills people so fast, right? You give him a little bit of CC to work with that, and it just didn't. Like you say, Rhea, I don't think that Rex was playing like themselves in this game, and I think that they weren't playing to what their style is, and it really hurt them.
Yep.
So I do think there's something interesting right here, like that canceled TP. I think that was a good play by Joshi up top.
Oh,
And with that play, Alk Battery plays as though it's not getting canceled, and Doctor plays as though it is. If you notice, like Alk Battery backs up when the TP comes into play, which is fine, right? Sees this and decides, okay, we're not getting the rocket kill anymore. I'm going to back up, and Doctor's under turret getting autos, right? Like and there is a lantern there, so Battery could have taken that lantern and gotten under turret and probably killed Rocket, if not gotten another pick on the MF or anything like that. And instead, there's a miscommunication. They don't get that, and we get to pan to see Zen falling to the Asuo. Yeah, and then like moving forward, it's Rafa's pockets versus INT's pockets, and I think that like we saw in the other game where Pure Llama was playing Kha'Zix, it doesn't surmount to enough. Like he gets so fed, and then it's like, oh, okay, well this is competitively organized play. We will just shut you down, no problem. You got one damage source, and it's not a consistent one.
So
look at how little damage Zac takes here.
Look how little damage Xayah ult does.
Look how little damage Soraka takes. Look at Soraka.
Not Alk Battery. Alk Battery's phenomenal. Xayah, not good right now.
See, look at that. There's like nothing, and she's already back to hell, like full health.
Yeah. And what protected her there? Bone plating? Like that?
I don't even know if bone plating procced. Hold on.
It did. I think what it is just a lot of feathers didn't hit her.
Yeah, so she gets hit by
3 feathers.
3 feathers.
Like what?
Yeah, I also need to point out Editor Space Dog is a phenomenal name.
It is a really, really good name.
Yeah, no, and then I think like if we just jump forward a little bit, this is Dragon Control. I think it was it a Mountain Soul? No, it was Infernal.
It was an Infernal Soul.
Yeah, so they pull Infernal Soul,
which is
pretty quick.
Which does help them a lot, because it does lack a little bit of damage. Like they're not like I'm not saying like, oh, they have no damage, but they needed a little more oomph for their, like, they have a Soraka, Mordekaiser, Zac. They needed a little bit more. And I don't think it would have changed much if it was like a mountain. It would just made them tankier, which counteractively does the same thing.
Yeah, I think this fight right here is probably where like the whole thing starts turning around like really, really hard against.
I think they just kill Rafa again here.
Yeah, they just take it. I think Rafa gets away. Rafa just runs.
Okay.
But they pick up 2 more kills.
Dead before he can contribute.
I remember right there was when I realized I was going to lose all my points that I won off of TG.
I won a lot of points.
And so it's rough. I would love to get Joshi's. Yeah, I'd love to get Joshi's perspective on it and kind of like get their whole breakdown. Because honestly, every time he does it in an analysis, it's pretty on point. He's got a lot of really good information. You should definitely go check out the episode we had. I think it was like 2 ago with Joshi on there. Where he
it was the last one.
I still have some stuff on the cutting room floor that I took out just because I wanted to try getting it shorter, and I just need to put it back in and release the extended cut. So we're gonna have like a Lord of the Rings 12-hour edition at some point.
And I'm gonna watch it too.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into these predictions right here. So I'm honestly just looking at these next set of games. RLS, you're going to be going against the new coin flip, I believe, because they've got a team who's actually been put together. Yes. Have you done much scouting on them and got kind of an idea?
We've done tons of scouting, and it's given us absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
We really we have no idea who we're playing into. The only person that we know is that we're playing into the same ADC as last time.
Yep.
And the same bunny as last time.
And that's the only returning player.
Yep.
At this point. So there's that, and then if we look over again on Friday, who's playing CFG then? It's Terracotta. So
I will tell you everything we know.
Yeah.
To me, the most important game on this list is on Thursday. TG versus RX.
Oh yeah, that's for play. That's for first place right there.
That's for gym badges.
That's for gym badges.
Yep. We had this is for gym badges. Hopefully, we can earn our last gym badge like RLS wanted to. Sadly, they couldn't do it. I'm so sorry.
We got it. You guys are the only one we don't got right now.
Yeah,
we don't got you guys
you-
in CFG.
You know, I just realized maybe that's how we should do qualifiers in the future. Once we had enough games under the team's belts, be like, okay, so you are our Earth gym badge, and you've got to like if you beat
You're forced to pick all 5 Shuriman champions.
Exactly. If you manage to beat all 5 Shuriman gyms, then you get to join FoF. But that's your qualifier.
The qualifier, I like that.
I think that's the most important game.
Yeah, that's the game to look at. I think that PTP STC could actually be a close game. That's going to be dependent. I think that SCT with just how much better they looked going into their second week as a team, I think that actually could be possible. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. GURL INT should be really it probably won't end up being. I would love that one to be close. That'd be really exciting. RLS CFG, we're currently 0-1 against them, and we don't know what we're playing into, so that one could end up being
it's very coin
it's a very coin flip game.
As it turns out.
It's a very coin flippy game.
Yeah, and then I think outside of that, the big game to watch is the TG Rex. So we can't have as good as a week as we had last week. Last week was just a stacked week of very close games. But this week we'll have some good stuff to watch. I think the only odd prediction that I'm going to do is I'm going to say that SCT is going to be PTP.
I lost your thing. I think you moved.
I clicked off the screen because I was checking something.
Yeah. I'm saying full confidence on that though. I'm gonna put 15K on that game.
So the game that I think is going to be a surprise is the STC versus Ink game. So another STC game. I think STC has a counter style. They play. I think they play opposite of what Int does, and I think it's very well into Int. So that's the game. I'm personally like underdog story.
I think SDC is honestly still very much a wild card. Like their team
we
is still coalescing and could still potentially be a threat for playoffs.
Yeah, if you don't see half a season, it's it's very hard to put a place on them.
Yep. All right, so there's that. So guys, you got anything you want to say before we close it out?
I'm scared of whatever coin flip is gonna throw at us because I have no idea what it will be.
I am ready to get my final gym badge.
You're ready to get your final gym badge?
Yoshi, you ain't shit.
All right, there we go. That's it, folks. With that, we're going to go close it out. I want to say thank you very much to our sponsors, Logitech Gaming and Adobe Creative Cloud. Greatly appreciate your support. Remember to tune in every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday for the Helios and the Luna and the Helios leagues, respectively. And those are all starting at 4:30 Pacific time. We appreciate your support down there. Remember to drop by our Discord. Link for that's down below. I'm going to also be putting a link to the VODs for each of these games down there as well, so you'll be able to go watch them. Definitely check out that Rex versus INT game. It was kind of interesting, and it was pretty sick. It was definitely an interesting game. There's just in general, a lot of those games are pretty good. With that, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. I want to say thank you so much. Have a good one, and we will see you later.